Hello Reynolds, how are you all? I hope you all are doing good. So for the biochemistry series, we have another new lecture video which is on minerals. So we know that the minerals are the elements of the periodic table and 25 have been isolated, more than 25 have been isolated, out of which the 21 elements are essential for our body, excluding carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, because carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen is basically forming the backbone of all the macro molecules, which is carbohydrate, protein, amino acids, and fats. So minerals basically make up about the 4 to 5% of our body weight, and if an individual with having a weight of 70 kg, so their weight is 2.8 kgs about the minerals. Many minerals are found in the ionic form, other as ligands or covalent compound. Basically, minerals in your body are found to be attached with enzymes or other proteins in order to efficient their working. For minerals, we have two categories: the macro minerals and the micro minerals. Macro minerals, this category is basically categorized or made on the basis of the daily requirement of these minerals. So macro minerals you required about 100 milligrams per day, and micro minerals only in very small amount, or you can say that these are the trace elements. So here we have a table about the daily requirements of macrominerals in grams per day. We have calcium, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, chloride, sodium, and magnesium with their symbols and the daily requirement. Calcium is one of the most abundant and also your body require in very huge amount, which is 1200 grams. Phosphorus, which is 860 grams. These two elements are basically required for your bones. Yeah, the proper absorption of calcium is dependent upon the phosphorus as well. Sulfur, potassium, chloride, sodium, magnesium, these all are required for the electrolyte balance of your cell. Here we have microminerals. In microminerals, we have protein, zinc, copper, chromium, selenium, magnesium, and iodine. Iodine is required for the proper functioning of thyroid gland. Manganese is required for some enzymes for the proper working. Selenium, you can get selenium from fishes, and it is also required for your muscles and for your head hair as well. Zinc is required for DNA enzyme, and the fluorine is a part of your tooth enamel. Functions of minerals. If we talk about the function of minerals, so here we have main or the common functions of minerals, and these are they basically provide a suitable medium for cellular activity. Cellular activity means all the enzymes working in your cell, making your metabolism require a suitable environment, which is indeed provided by minerals. It requires for the permeability of membranes, how membranes allow some macromolecules and other molecules to enter and exit the cell, irritability of muscles and nerve cells. Irritability means the ability to respond to stimulus, rapid irregular contraction of muscle fibers of heart, resulting lack of synchronization between heartbeat and pulse. If we talk about nerve irritability, so it means the persistent, unpleasant mood state characterized by low frustration, tolerance, impulsivity, and aggression, which is basically the root cause of CNS dysfunction. Minerals play a primary role in osmotic phenomena. It becomes a part of a specialized compound involved in acid-base balance, the sodium chloride balance, the sodium potassium balance, and it confers the rigidity and hardness to certain tissues like bones and teeth. And we have already discussed that the calcium required for bones, fluorine required for teeth, phosphorus is also required for your bones. So here we have a short description about metalloenzyme and the metal activated enzyme. Like we have talked about the minerals that they are attached as a ligand or as a cofactor with enzymes in order to potentiate their working. So metalloenzymes and the metal activated enzyme, the main difference is that metalloenzyme, if we talk about the metalloenzyme, it means that the element or the mineral is firmly bound, but in metal activated enzyme means it is required for some time when the enzyme is about to work. As soon as the work is end, the mineral detaches from the enzyme. So here we can clearly say that the metal-protein ratio is always constant in metalloenzyme but not in metal-activated enzyme. And here in metalloenzyme, the mineral is always unique but not in the metal-activated enzyme, the mineral is unique. There is no enzyme activity without mineral because mineral is the part of the structure of that enzyme, but the enzyme activity may occur without mineral in case of metal activated enzyme. So here we can see that there are some examples of the metalloenzyme which are superoxide dismutase requires zinc copper, cytochrome oxidase require ferrous and copper, zinc oxidase require cobalt and ferrous. And if we talk about the examples of metal activated enzymes, we have creatine kinase, magnesium, magnesium, calcium or cobalt, glycogen phosphorylase kinase require calcium, salivary and pancreatic alpha amylase require calcium. The electrolytes. Minerals are the main electrolytes of your body, which are in the category we have sodium, potassium, and chloride. Basically, in your cell, what happens that whenever sodium gets outside of your cell, it always come up with the chlorine, with the ratio of 3 sodium and 1 chlorine. And also this water molecule also get out of the cell. Whenever 3 sodium get out of the cell, the 2 potassium molecules get entered into the cell. Sodium, principal cation in extracellular fluid, its function include osmotic equilibrium that I have told you about that the 3 sodium and 2 potassium maintain acid-base balance, carbon dioxide transport, cell membrane permeability, and muscle irritability. Potassium is the principal cation in intracellular fluid. The extracellular fluid means the fluid in which your cell bath, but the potassium is the main principal cation in the intracellular fluid means inside the cell. Its functions include buffer constituent, acid-base balance, water balance, membrane transport and neuromuscular irritability. Water balance means whenever 2 potassium get inside the cell, 1 molecule of water get outside of the cell. Chloride is an essential cation important for acid-base balance, osmotic balance, and in the formation of gastric HCl. So, sodium. The food source of sodium is table salt, salty foods, baking soda, and milk. The recommended daily allowance is 1.1 to 3.3 grams per day. Absorption and metabolism readily absorbed, excreted in your urine and sweat. Aldosterone increases reabsorption in renal tubules. Aldosterone is a hormone which is produced by your kidney. Deficiency symptoms include dehydration, acidosis, tissue atrophy. Acidosis means whenever the 3 sodium get outside of the cell, it causes the 2 potassium gets inside the cell. So, if we talk that 3 sodium outside the cell, it always take 1 chloride outside and 1 water molecule outside. And if its deficiency occurs, it means it causes dehydration. If we talk about toxicity, it causes edema, hypertonic expansion, hypertension, which is the condition known as hypernatremia. The treatment is that sodium supplements to replace sodium and chloride lost through perspiration during high heat. Potassium. The food sources, vegetables, bananas, whole grain, meat and milk, but bananas are the most abundant food source. RDA recommended daily allowance is adults for 1.5 to 4.5 grams per day. Absorption and metabolism, it is readily absorbed and secreted by your kidney, also in sweat. Kidney means in urine, potassium excreted out. Deficiency causes hypokalemia. It is the medical term used for the low potassium. Hypokalemia causes severe vomiting and diarrhea. Symptom profound weakness of skeletal muscles, paralysis and impaired respiration, weakness of smooth muscles, atrioventricular blockage, disruption in signal between atria and ventricle. Toxicity means excess hyperkalemia causes severe trauma, burns, acidosis, and excess intake. Symptoms impaired conduction, fibrillation, paralysis. Treatment is the sodium polystyrene sulfonate are the supplements remove excess potassium from the body. Chloride. Chloride, the food sources for chloride is table salt, tomatoes, lettuce, and celery. The RDA is 2.3 grams per day. Absorption and metabolism is closely connected with sodium in foods, body tissues, and foods in excretion, like 3 sodium out with the 1 chloride readily absorbed along with sodium, excreted mainly in the kidneys, 2% in feces, and 4 to 5% in perspiration. Deficiency of chloride causes hypochloremic alkalosis. Alkalosis means whenever 1 chloride get outside, it take away the 3 sodium and also the 2 potassium inside, but this balance disturbed whenever this chloride ion is in the deficiency. No chloride means no 3 sodium ion get outside the cell, so it accumulated inside causes alkalosis. Hypovolemia, abnormal decrease in blood plasma, pernicious vomiting, excessive vomiting in early pregnancy, and psychomotor disturbances. Psychomotor means your neuron start disbalancing. Toxicity of chloride, fatigue, excessive thirst, high blood pressure. Causes are the high ingestion of salt. Whenever you highly ingest the salt, or if you are facing diarrhea, so it causes the toxicity of chloride. Like most of the water get outside of the cell and chloride ions accumulated. Treatment: hydration, sodium, and carbonate. Calcium. Calcium is the bulk element, like we know that 1200 grams per day. Most abundant fifth element in the body needed by all cells. It found in largest amount in bones, which is 90%. Functions include structural unit of bones and teeth, contraction, relaxation required for blood clotting. Contraction, relaxation, actin, myosin of your muscles required calcium. It is absorbed in bones and teeth and it makes it strong. Required for blood clotting, like blood clotting factor 10, required calcium, blood clotting with factor 5. Activates many enzymes like glycogen phosphorylase, kinase, selective and pancreatic amylase. Stabilizes nervous tissue. Like the low calcium, irritable nerves, and it causes tetany. Tetany is associated with low calcium in extracellular area. It increases the permeability of your neurons, so it excites more. High calcium depresses the nervous irritability. Food sources are dairy products, vegetables, cornflakes, and fortified foods. RDA is 800 to 1200 milligrams per day. Regulation is about controlled by parathyroid hormone. You all know a butterfly-shaped hormone behind your thyroid hormone known as parathyroid hormone releases calcitonin and vitamin D. Intracellular concentration is 5 millimole. If it exceeds, causes high calcium, depressed nervous irritability. If it gets lower than 5 millimolar, it causes tetany. About half is in the ionized form in serum and half is bound to protein, which is a calcium citrate complex. Absorption variable due to insoluble salts, phosphates, carbonate, oxalate, phytate, and sulfate. Absorption is enhanced by acidic pH, vitamin D, lactose, lysine, and glycine. Why we talk about the acidic pH? Because your gastric pH is about 2. So this pH activates the enzyme which enhances the absorption of calcium and it excretes in urine and feces. Phosphorus is also a bulk element, the second most abundant mineral in your body, 80% your bone structure and 20% is actively metabolically high energy phosphate compound, nucleic acid, phosphase, and phosphoprotein means 80% it is found in your bones and 20% of the phosphorus it is required for the composition of your DNA, the phospholipids, and the phosphoprotein, the nucleic acids. It required in many phases of metabolism. Food sources are milk, cheese, eggs, beans, and fish. RDA is 80 milligrams per day, 1:1 with calcium, मतलब 1 calcium का molecule तो 1 phosphorus. Deficiency hypophosphatemia. It is not common but may be associated with total parenteral nutrition without sufficient phosphates given with sodium or potassium phosphates. Iodine is a trace element. Iodine is necessary for the formation of thyroid hormone. It requires in 150 micrograms per day. Food sources are salt water, fish, and seaweeds. Deficiency causes goiter, the enlargement of thyroid gland. Treatment, medication, or surgery. Treatment for the treatment of the deficiency is other two ways is medication or surgery, which is thyroidectomy. Iron is also a trace element. Two types of iron: the heme iron and the non-heme iron. Heme iron includes hemoglobin, myoglobin, catalases, peroxidase, cytochrome. These three are the enzymes. Non-heme iron, ferritin, hemosiderin, transferrin, and ferroflavoprotein. Food iron sources are for the heme iron is meat, poultry, and fish. For the non-heme iron is vegetable, fruit, legume, nuts, breads, and cereals. About 20 to 23% of heme iron is absorbable and only 3% of non-heme iron is absorbed. Why there is a difference between their absorption is basically the heme iron which we get from meat is mostly resemble with our own hemoglobin and myoglobin, and also the absorption route for heme iron and non-heme iron are different. The RDA is 15 to 20 milligrams per day, and the iron absorption takes place the upper part of a small intestine, which is the proximal duodenum. The 10% of food iron is absorbed. Ferrous is better absorbed than ferric form and it required gastric axial, and copper. Why we talk about ferrous and ferric? Because the iron found in your body is in oxidized form, which is a ferric form. It must be converted in ferrous, which is a reduced form. So in your proximal duodenum, the pH of the area is acidic, which causes the activation of enzyme. What enzyme? The enzyme which convert these oxidized ferric into reduced ferrous form. So that's why your iron absorbs better in the ferrous form. Iron distribution and storage, it carried in bloodstream via transferrin, a protein, alpha and beta globulin, stored in two forms, ferritin and hemosiderin. These are also the two proteins, along with your iron attach and transfer or travel in your body, is stored in liver, spleen, bone marrow, intestinal mucosal cells, and plasma. About iron elimination, it normally lost by exfoliation of intestinal mucosal cells into the stool. Why we say that the normal exfoliation? Because it is absorbed in the it is stored in the intestinal mucosal cells. So that's why whenever exfoliation takes place, intestinal mucosal cells sheds off in the stool. Trace amounts are lost in bile, urine, and sweat, no more than 1 milligram per day. Iron deficiency. Symptoms: lack of appetite, headache, indigenous causes, excessive blood loss, malabsorption, increased metabolic requirement, rapid growth in children with limited intake. Okay, so basically, iron deficiency may caused by the excessive blood loss or the malabsorption, like you are taking uh, enough iron, but your metabolism is not good to absorb the your intake iron. Rapid growth in children with limited intake, like if we talk about growing children, so it requires more iron, and if it is not taking uh, the daily recommended amount of iron, so there may be iron deficiency. The disorder of iron deficiency known as anemia, and diagnosis take place by hematology, low serum iron. Treatment is iron supplement. If we talk about the iron toxicity, it is common in children ingesting large doses of soluble iron compound. Basically, it is very rare if any children or a kid get it hands on the tablet, iron tablet, which may be given by some their parents or adult of the house, and they ingested accidentally. The causes are hereditary hemochromatosis and hemosiderosis. The symptoms are these are the genetic disorder which causes iron toxicity. Uh, Genetic disorder means uh, a deficiency of any enzyme which is involved in the metabolic pathway of iron metabolism. The symptoms for iron toxicity are liver cirrhosis, diabetes, iron deposited in pancreas, damaged beta cells, skin pigmentation, and cardiac failure. Treatment is phlebotomy. 1 unit blood removes about 250 milligrams of iron. Chelating agent deferoxamine mesylate DFOM reacts with ferric iron to form a 1:1 chelate known as ferrioxamine. So here we have a table of trace elements, trace minerals, which require in our diet in a very low amount. RDA is 350 for magnesium. The RDA is 350 milligrams per day. The sources are all green plants and meats. Function enzyme system means it requires for enzyme to work as a ligand or a cofactor for your CNS as a, like we talk about the sodium potassium chloride. So magnesium, it is required for the neuronal cell membrane and neuromuscular system. Its deficiency increase muscle excitability, which is tetany, also associated with calcium and convergence. Zinc, the RDA is 8 milligrams per day. Source is peanut, yogurt, beans, meat, lobster. Functions: it is a cofactor of RNA DNA polymerase, is found in 20 metalloenzymes. It also requires for wound healing. If you are deficient of zinc, so maybe your wound heal more and more and more after many days of your injury. Deficiency is poor growth, delay wound healing, impairment of sexual development. The fluorine RDA is 1.5 to 4.5 milligrams per day. Sources are drinking water, lettuce, spinach, and onions. It is essential for your tooth enamel, and deficiency causes tooth decay and bone weakness. For manganese, the RDA is 2.5 to 5 milligrams per day. Source is blueberry, wheat bran, wheat, greens, lettuce, legume, and fruits. The function is a cofactor of enzymes, sulfo-mucopolysaccharide synthesis. The mucopolysaccharide provides the ground substance for cell attachments. Deficiency, poor bone growth, skeletal defects, and the low fertility. So here we have minerals with all the common functions and all the metabolic functions of the minerals. We have discussed about it. So it's all for today. We will meet soon with another video lecture series. Do subscribe and like my channel if you like the video. Thank you.